New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth. To live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge. On the growing edge.
And now, here's Allie.
Good morning and welcome to Growing Edge Live with Allie Benjamin. That's me. I am so excited to be here again for my second show. And I have a very special guest today, a really good friend of mine that you'll get to meet in just a few minutes. But before we get started, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the Sati Center and this broadcast. And thank you to New Thought Media Network and Reverend Robert Brzezinski, who is helping us, collaborating with us, and helping to expand awareness about the New Thought movement. It's really great to be a part of this growing edge community that is New Thought Media Network. So I'd like to start with a question. I mentioned last week that the first segment of our broadcast is going to be dedicated to questions. Ask Allie. And so if you have a question that you'd like to explore with me and with our community, then go ahead and drop that in the comments, or you can email me at growingedge@gmail.com to submit a question that we'll get around to. And today, my question, it comes from Alex, and she says, I'm so busy with work, kids, and the stress of everyday life, I never seem to follow through with my intention to live a more spiritual life. Can you share some ideas and easy practices so that I can feel more peace and connection with spirit? Thank you. So this is a great question. Many of us get so busy with our lives, especially if we have young children. And it can seem like a really good idea to meditate or have a more spiritual life or focus on self-development, personal growth. But where do you find the time? And what exactly do you do? And do you have to have a big chunk of time dedicated to such practices, or can you do it on the run? Can you do it on the go? Well, the answer is yes to all of those things. We can take it in small chunks. We can take a whole hour and dedicate it to our spiritual growth and development. So some ideas, some living examples that I want to share with you today come from my practice, come from my life. It's very helpful to create a space, to have a place in your home that you can dedicate, maybe an altar or a little place, a corner of your room, let's say. And maybe you want to create that space with a comfortable chair or a cushion, a candle, a crystal, a flower, some beautiful art. And if you have a little table or an altar, you could place things on there, like pictures of things that are meaningful to you, or spiritually inspiring people, maybe a guru, a teacher, someone from the past, a historical person that means something, that carries the qualities or lived the qualities that you most find meaningful and inspiring, like the Buddha or Mother Teresa, or you fill in the blank, someone that touches your heart. So creating that space is really helpful, and that will help keep you accountable. It will help it be easy for you to be able to go there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or even longer every day. And within that space, or really wherever you are, you don't have to be at your little altar space. You could have 5 minutes to yourself in the living room when everyone's getting ready or something like that. You can just take a few breaths. If nothing else, throughout your day, you don't find time for anything else, take a few centering breaths. Arrive in the moment and just explore what it feels like to be still, to experience the stillness of the now moment. And as you center yourself, as you take some time to connect and go within and find your flow or find your breath, that could be enough to get started with. You can also set an intention for the day. This can happen in a second. It doesn't have to take a long time. Think for yourself, what would you like to experience today? It could be something like joy or peace or ease and flow. And you simply say it to yourself. Today, I accept peace in my life. And you've set an intention. And now, because everything is created twice, once in mind and then once in reality, we get to create or be a co-creator of our experience, our energy, our vibration. So we affirm peace. And then we affirm it throughout the day. It's your intention. And then tomorrow, the next day, you can choose another word, one that aligns with how you're feeling and what you want to experience. Breath work is an amazing tool for transformation. I won't get too into it at the moment, but just taking some deep cleansing breaths. It's said, science shows, studies show that we don't breathe enough. We don't get enough oxygen. We're just using the surface faculty of breathing. We can go deeper, and within that deeper breath work, all kinds of benefits occur. Peace, ease, relaxation. It has benefits to the physical body that you can explore. So explore breath work. One simple one is that you can do the box breath technique. You think of a box and then you inhale for 3 seconds, hold it for 3 seconds, exhale for 3 seconds, hold it for 3 seconds. This is box breathing. And this is breath work that can help you calm down and focus your attention in the now moment. Also, an easy thing, if you're out with the kids or you're walking the dog, you can do a walking meditation. Just simply continue as usual, walking along, but you become more mindful of what's around you, the trees, the wind, the sun on your face, the sounds, the warmth, the coolness, whatever your experience. This is a mindfulness practice. And you can do this while you're moving.
Thank you, folks, for staying tuned during our technical difficulties here. I am Reverend Robert Brzezinski, Spiritual and Creative Director of the New Thought Media Network. We apologize for the interruption in your programming here this morning. We're attempting to make contact with Ali and trusting this might be just a simple computer reboot or automatic update. We'll let you know more as we do. I have we're gonna
You're still on.
Swing it by the wind here. Hello, folks. I'm going to introduce Dr. Pamela Chapman. I have no idea who you are. I've done absolutely no research on your background. I don't have your bio. And we're going to trust that Ali either comes back in here real soon, or we can we'll definitely get you rescheduled for a more complete and better interview. So Dr. Pam, welcome into the Growing Edge Live and New Thought Media Network. If you would, please tell those that are watching a little bit about yourself and who you are and where you are in the world and all that good stuff.
Wonderful. I'm excited to do that. And I am always ready to fly by the seat of my pants because I find that life just demands that. So I'm Dr. Pam Chapman. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I am a practitioner in religious science and absolutely love combining psychology and religious science for manifesting lives with ease and grace and joy. And I currently am a hospice social worker and I work with families after their beloveds have left. And I also work with people who are in the last stage of their life and just take great peace and joy in that and really come to believe that life is eternal. Mm-hmm. And that, the transition between where we are now and where we're going is hopefully an easy, sacred, special time with family. And my main effort at this time is to really help work-wise, is to really help people to understand that and feel that. I'm older, so I have a very varied life background of history of different careers and different fun things. And one of the things I really was excited about talking about today is the whole concept of making a difference. And I think that really is a big part of what being on the growing edge is all about, is just being ready to be present in every moment and to make a difference everywhere we go. Mm. And I recently had a very unique experience for me. I have worked full-time my whole life. I'm now working part-time, but for the past 5.5 months, my husband and I went on an around-the-world trip.
Nice.
And there were periods of time during that trip where I was feeling like, wait a minute, I'm not working, I'm not serving. And what I discovered, and I discovered a lot on this trip, but the main thing that I discovered is that we cannot ever not make a difference. We make a difference everywhere we show up. We make a difference everywhere we go. I can't tell you how many times, especially in third world countries, where my husband and I would just show up and get into a cab and go someplace, and everybody we talked to was so grateful that we were there. After this lockdown of COVID that was internationally everywhere you went, I mean, people had just lost so much income. They'd lost so much ability to connect with other people. Just being there made a difference. Right. And then sharing our joy, sharing our life, sharing our enthusiasm, our gratitude, just really made a huge, huge difference. And it was a wide awakening experience for me. I've always thought that I really make a difference in my family. I really make a difference in my job. Right. But in reality, we make a difference in every moment that we're here. And I love every day because you just know that you've got this incredible opportunity to impact people, to heal people, to bring happiness everywhere you go. And that's probably my goal, is to bring joy everywhere I go. And now I'm so excited because I recognize that everywhere I go, it automatically happens. So that's kind of a little intro of where I am now. Now I'm going to be like a part-time worker and a part-time traveler, an adventurer, and I can't discount my time away from work or my play time as being less important than work time. It's all important. And
Yeah, I love where you're taking this, because not only it's so incredibly transformative when we remember that no matter what's going on, no matter how we are showing up, no matter what we're contributing or maybe not contributing, the divine is revealing itself in a unique, magnificent, and perfect way.
yes.
And on that human experience, sometimes we see it, sometimes we recognize it. Hey, we feel the gratitude, or we recognize somebody directly thanking us for being there, for supporting their business, for supporting their philosophy, their way of life. But we also get that point where I don't know how what I do is going to influence, or how it's going to support, or how it's going to uplift someone. And it may not even be immediate. It may take time to see the fruits of our labor, if you will.
It's it's just an amazing truth. And I think that if we can be consciously aware of it, it's going on. It's going on whether we're aware of it or not, right? But if we can be consciously aware of it, it gives us an opportunity to live in joy. Because what's better? What's better than being of service? I know that when I am helping people, when I am being with people, when I'm loving people, my heart is full of excitement and just full of so much delight. And that's our goal. Our goal is to be happy. And I think that, it's real interesting, because when people are interviewed and they're asked, like, what is your number one goal in life? The number one answer is to be happy. And to be happy can be such a simple process. We add so much to our lives. It stresses us out. If we can focus on the meat of what's important, our connections, our relationships, our love, if we can follow our passion, then I think that we will be naturally happy. So
beautiful. You said an important word there, relationships. And I'm sure that on this worldwide tour and trip that you've been on, there have been numerous relationships that were developed, whether they're enduring or whether they were for those brief moments or for those brief experiences. But can you pull up just one of those?
Wow.
And that you feel maybe would live with you and is going to influence who you are and the work you're doing in the world?
Yeah. So before I went on the trip, we were, our trip was cruise and fly to different places that were further away. But a lot of the time we were on a ship. And so we got to know the staff, and you don't think about getting to know the people who work on the cruise ship and having them become intimate, wonderful friends. But after spending 5 months every day, because they work every day, after spending 5 months every day with these people, they become your friends. And one of them was the omelet chef. And I was taking a jewelry making class on the ship, and he would come and sit with me and just, like, was interested in what I was doing, and was very chatty and was very warm. And he started talking to me and telling me about his life. And we became wonderful friends. And one of the things that he shared with me is that he's an omelet chef. He's been working on Holland America for 16 years. And and that's what he does. And he's on for 8 months, and then he has couple of months off, and then he's on for another 8 months. Well, he has been able to put his daughter through dental school and his son through medical school with the money that he's made. And he was sharing his gratitude with us about how if he didn't have that job, and again, it's kind of like making a difference wherever you go, just being, just having like they say, bring your soul. But if you bring the soles of your feet to a lot of places, you're still having an impact and making a difference. Well, there are a lot of people who travel a lot who go and visit these friends that they've met, people who work on the ship, the crew. or people that they've met. These are lifetime relationships with people from almost every country that you can think of. And we're emailing and talking to our cabin steward and helping him through the grief of the loss of his father. And just it's an amazing thing. It's all about relationships, and not just with the people who you're having dinner with and being dressed up fancy with. It's with everyone. And those relationships, if you put a little bit of effort into them, are sustained throughout life. They are lifetime commitments. My husband and I are traveling with a couple that we met who live in Canada, and texting constantly. And they're lifetime committed relationships that just need a little bit of effort. But again, it sources from everywhere you go, you make a difference. I wasn't planning on talking about my trip once, but on that comment, I wanted to share one thing. The first day I was on the ship, I was in the jacuzzi, and it was almost like a movie set scene. It was amazing. I want to make a difference every day. So here we are going on this trip, and I'm feeling like I'm not going to make a difference. I'm just going to be on vacation, right? Who makes a difference on vacation? So I'm in the jacuzzi, and this woman who was in her 80s gets into the jacuzzi with me, and we start talking. And I mentioned to her that this is the longest vacation of my life. I've never been away from home for more than a month before. And she said, honey, she goes, if you think you're on a vacation, she said, think again. She said, you're wrong. She said, this is life. She said, we're here together for 5 months. She goes, this is about meeting new people, having new experiences. She said, this is going to be about change. She said, everybody who's on this ship is going to go home a different person. And then, oh my gosh, these are such words of wisdom. I'm really excited I get to share them. Then she said to me, she said, so how are you going to change? Well, I'm a little overweight. Not now. I'm at my high school, perfect, all the time, should have been weight right now. I know, which is very exciting. But on December 22nd, when I got on the ship, I was overweight, probably like a size, I don't know, 18 when I wanted to be a size 10. And I said, well, I want to get healthy, and I want to eat right, and I want to be as strong and capable. I want to be an older woman who could be a role model. And she said, honey, she goes, let me tell you a little secret. And let me tell all of you a secret now, because this was amazing for me. It was transformative. She said, first, she goes, you eat healthy and you exercise a little. That's it. And she said, you're going to notice in about 3 or 4 weeks, your body's going to change. It's going to look different. It's going to feel different. You're just going to be different. And then she said, in about 2 or 3 weeks after that, you're going to notice that your brain is different. Your brain is different. So I started, my intention had been to do that. I was committed. Before I got on the ship, I was committed. I was going to use this time as a time to work out, to meet people who are healthy and to be like them. And, so I started exercising. I got a trainer. I started lifting weights, started eating healthy, and weight started falling off. And 4 weeks later, I was looking pretty good already. And then about 2 or 3 weeks after that, I noticed that my husband was saying, well, Pam, you can take a day off. You don't have to exercise every day. And I was getting up at 6:30 in the morning to go to a 7 o'clock exercise class. Right. So I would lay in bed thinking today is my day to rest and relax. But no, my brain was different. I wanted more than anything in the world to get up and to go lift weights and to go exercise. And now my brain is thin. And I think that if any change that you want, it doesn't have to be about your health or about weight. For me, it was about just being healthy. But it could be about if you're wanting to enjoy your retirement more. It takes some time for your brain to catch up with the new way that you're living. Or if you're wanting to become a really great pickleball player, or if you're wanting to go to school and you've been out of school for a while and you're really scared. Well, you just have to show up. You keep doing that. You keep doing that for a few weeks, and you keep doing it. And all of a sudden, your brain is different, and it's easy. It's easy and joyful and natural to be the new you. I think we always think that we have to do so much, but we need to be in our head, like that be, do, have that we talk about. We have to be like, now I am a thin person. I am being thin. And it had to be the change up here. It happens here first. And that's exciting. That was a big piece that I learned from a random person who sat in the jacuzzi with me. So I think that the teacher is always there too when you need them.
Yeah, exactly. And you're giving me all those great visions of what can be. Because I don't know exactly which cruise it was you were on or the capacity of the ship, but let's for a moment imagine that everybody on that ship was of like mind, was living this new thought, philosophy, faith, and way of life, and the transformations that we could make within ourselves, and therefore then take back out into the world. And that's the important part of this, right? Is, yeah, you've gotten what's good for you. And yes, that woman got a chance to remind others of the truth. And collectively, you created a ripple that begins to influence that whole ship.
That lady, probably just thought she said a few sentences to me,
Right.
But I shared my transformational experience with probably 100 people on the ship. And then they share it, each one person or whatever, and now look, now we're talking on your platform so that everybody can hear, all coming from a short little statement that this conversation that this woman and I had. We matter. It all boils down to, I think, everything that we're going to talk about today or any day, we could end up talking at the end of the day, at the end of the paragraph, about what we said, what we did, how we acted mattered.
Yes.
So, yeah.
All right. Hey, folks, if you wonder what you've just stumbled into, this is Growing Edge Live with Allie Benjamin, and I am not Allie Benjamin. And this beautiful being next to me is not Allie Benjamin. She is Dr. Pam Chapman. Allie is having some internet connectivity issues. We are in communication via text, so we know she's okay. Nothing seriously wrong or any of that. We're just having some technical difficulties here today. So, and we're going to take a quick break to say hello to some of our sponsors and let you learn a little bit more about what's going on here on the network and how maybe you might even get involved. Please do drop a comment in the chat box. Let us know what you'd like to learn more about here today. From what you've heard so far, what questions would you be asking Dr. Pam? And we're going to continue this right after the break. So stay tuned. We'll be back real soon.
You are a gift. That is the absolute truth. You are a gift, a blessing to the world, a way that the infinite love of God shines itself, shares itself, and expresses itself more fully in the world. You are a gift and a blessing. Please take that seriously. Take it as your honor. Take it as your opportunity to be a light that shines for others. Be that bright light of God's love that's the truth of who you are. And enjoy it, because you deserve it.
And we're back with more of the Growing Edge Live with Allie Benjamin. I am not Allie Benjamin. We are anticipating her return to the program at any time now. And I am, you guys, folks, anyone watching, please know that you get to experience what life is really like here on New Thought Media Network. Because I'm just sitting in the background producing today and supposed to be pressing some buttons and facilitating a conversation, and find myself thrust into the midst of the conversation. And truthfully, I have no recollection of what questions you and Allie discussed and what you prepared for here in our next segment of the program. So I do believe, however, at some point, we'd probably get around to the question of what would you consider right now in your career, in your life, in who you are as a spiritual leader, as a spiritual being. What would you consider your growing edge? What do you see as that essence, or what's calling you forward? And as you've described, as a woman of maturity, how would you describe where you're being called?
So the difference in being a woman of maturity is that sometimes your life isn't all about working. My job had always been about working for decades and decades, and I'm still going to be working. I think formal work brings me incredible joy and meaning and structure, and I like all of that stuff very, very much. My growing edge right now is to be a radiant example of aging well, of being someone who didn't take care of my body that well for 35 or 40 years, but who can make a commitment to completely transform that in a thought, in a jacuzzi, and live it, and then be that different being as a radiant example of it. I believe I am a religious science practitioner. I believe that the tools that we teach in religious science help to make life clearer and simple, so that instead of getting caught up in all the drama of life and the problems of life, we find easier ways to get over them and through them. My job right now, as a crone, you could say, I remember for my 50th birthday party many, many years ago, I had a croning, and we had people, all the women who were over 50, kind of step through the gauntlet into their new place of being. And that new place of being is to share the wisdom, is to be the light, is to be the joy. There isn't any for me to be the grumpy grouch anymore. I ain't got nothing to complain about. So my job is to be there and to be part of the healing answer. I was reading the comments during the commercial break, and one of them just was so great. It was like, ain't it great to be crazy? It is great to be. It's just great to be. And yes, we can be crazy, and we can be serious, and we can be everything. And I want to be an open book role model of loving life.
I like that. I think that's really, really powerful. An open book role model of loving life. And in many of the other conversations that I get to have, one of the things that a dear friend of mine and I are kind of coming around to is that there's always been this piece of saying, you've got to be authentic, you've got to be authentic, you've got to be authentic. But that is now taken on a different connotation for many. And we're looking now at, okay, beyond being authentic, who are you really? Who's the real you? Who are you really? And I think that it sounds to me that things like the cruise provide opportunity for us to ask ourselves that question, to dig in a bit deeper to who we really came here to be. And it sounds very much to me like you're not only having answered that question for yourself, now you are utilizing the opportunities to truly live it, to really be out there and be that model for others. So I want to applaud that. It sounds great.
Thank you. One of the things that I teach that that I think is just so critical to think about, and it's all about that joy. And ain't it great, great, crazy? Just kind of inspired me for a whole new direction too. Is that we are the we are. I mean, this is how I view us. We are tuning forks. And a lot of times when I speak on personal change, then and goal setting, especially, it's one of the things I want to talk about. So if you can just envision yourself as a tuning fork and vibrating at a certain level of emotion, I want to be radiating at an emotion of joy or gratitude or excitement or enthusiasm. If I'm not in those positive spaces, then I know that what I'm pulling into my life is going to be some more negativity. We really are creatures of attraction, and it happens naturally to all of us in every moment, whether we know it or not. It's just the way life is. So in being an authentic person, when you're being authentic and you're following your path and you're following your vision and you're living your joy, you are going to be radiating positivity. And as you radiate that positivity, you're going to be getting more and more and more of it flowing into your life. I just see it like kind of flooding it. It's just this exciting, I hear the statement that you want to have like love and abundance and health. It's like pushed down and overflowing and just this radiance of being. We can't have that unless we live in joy, unless we live in gratitude. Ali started off with talking about, some spiritual practices and being grateful being one of them. Living in a state of gratitude is critical and easy and joyful. It's what are we putting our eye on? And I love the practice of writing 3 or 4 things every night that you're grateful for. But the biggest thing to that isn't taking the time to write 3 or 4 things. The biggest thing is to walk through your day looking for things all day long that you're going to add. Oh, I'm going to add that. It's the most beautiful rose I've ever seen. I'm going to add that tonight. And oh my gosh, look, I made it through all those green lights. I'm going to add that tonight. Living in gratitude where you actually even have like goosebumps because you're so grateful for all the little things. Because the little things spark the joy in us. And when that joy is sparked, that's when we get this incredible gift of everything we want.
Exactly. Speaking of gratitude, and you just described my experience of the last few minutes because a friend of yours has chimed in and said, "Thank you, Pam. I'm restoring my inner athlete, and you are such a role model for me. Thank you for being my inspiring big sister. Love you."
Oh, thank you. I love you too, sweetie.
And when I read that that quote come in, and thank you, Catherine, when I read that comment come in, it sparked an experience of joy within me. It sparked joy that here is someone getting to publicly express their gratitude for the difference you've made in their life.
Yeah. And it just keeps going on and on and on. I feel so good that I'm going to leave here today and be a real shining light. And one of the things I have to do today is very difficult. When I leave here, I'm going to be going to a funeral home and helping the lady plan the funeral for her young husband, who she hoped was going to be living for another 30 or 40 years.
Yeah.
And I need to be centered and filled with love and joy to be able to enter a situation like that and to be that for her, because it's infectious. Kathy just gave me some, you give me some, and then we take it out further and further into the world. It's very, very growth inducing.
Yeah. Reverend Ali has sent me the questions that you were prepared for here today. And one of those is, how do you see your life? Let me make sure I get it right there. How has your life become a reflection of your soul's purpose?
Oh, my goodness.
And in many ways, we've been answering that,
Yeah.
and I've been hearing the answers to that as we've gone along. So if you can, how would you encapsulate that? If this were a nice TV program where you had 35 seconds to a minute to encapsulate that. And knowing that we've heard so much of that so already today, what haven't we heard yet where you are a reflection of your soul's purpose?
I definitely feel like I am, and have been for a long, long time. I entered this study of just positivity and making a difference when I was a late teenager, and I think that sharing myself everywhere I go really matters. I need my husband's hands. He's kind of watching over in the peanut gallery. I need you to come over here, sweetie. So I just want to share this thing that transformed me. I tell people about this all the time, and I'd love to share it with the whole universe. So actually, you're going to pretend you're a customer. So I worked at a bakery. I supported myself through college working at a bakery. Sorry, not 35 seconds, but it'll be quick.
You're good.
I worked at a bakery. I had taken a training that talked about like everything you do matters. I'm a teenager, I'm like 18, 19 years old. And then, oh my gosh, I thought, well, I don't matter. I work in a bakery. But I came up with this idea that transformed my whole life. And everything about me since then has come from this idea. So I decided that what I was going to do was impact every single customer, that I was going to make every customer feel my joy and my love, that they were going to leave empowered. So people would buy their donuts. I mostly sold donuts. And I'd say, okay, so that will be, what do you want? You want 2 donuts? Okay, that'll be $1.10. Want to give me your money? Okay, thank you. I'm going to make this change. Then when I gave the change, put your hand out here so we can see it. I would put the change in their hand and then put my other hand on the other side and look at them about 5 seconds too long and say, thank you. So it literally looked like this. I'm going to give him change. Your hand for change. Thank you. I literally did that 150 times a day, every day, 5 days a week.
Wow.
And I was so filled with delight and enthusiasm and joy and love. And I got to date like the hottest guy on the planet Earth for 7 years, who I met there. And the older customers would come and bring me gifts and after they read their books. And then I was a psychiatric social worker many years later. And this man, I'm talking to him and he goes, oh my gosh, you're Pam. And I said, yes, I am. And he said, you don't remember me, but I remember you. He said, you were the girl who sold the donuts at Parker House Bakery. And I said, yes, I was. And he said, we all knew who you were. He said, you were our angel. That's how easy mattering is. We all matter. You bring your best self everywhere you go. Best self, your happy self, your loving self, your touching self.
Yes.
Love you.
Love you too. Yeah, right. It's what you bring about, you what you think about, what you do, what you cast into the world, you bring back into who you are, and that is such a lovely, lovely story. I love hearing these types of stories, and folks, I trust you do too out there. Remember, chat along, chime along, let us know you're out there. We'd love to hear from you here today. Pam, before we run out of time, I think one of the other big questions that Allie likes to cover is what growing edge thought or idea, what perhaps even though some might call radical type of idea, what kind of evolving idea or thoughts would you like to share with our audience today?
This is a real psychological idea versus like a overly spiritual one, but I really view psychology and spirit as one, just as everything in the world kind of comes together. So there is a term in psychology called explanatory style that I think is a completely transformative tool. And explanatory style isn't something that we're born with. Some people are born with a little bit more happiness than others. Right. Some people are born with like a tendency to be a little bit more positive than others, but no one's born with explanatory style. The style with which you explain circumstances in your life to yourself is something that we all learn somewhere along the line. We may learn that I'm an unlucky person and stuff that's negative just happens to me all the time. So I start interpreting things through those eyes. Or we may learn that, I'm a capable person and things generally go really great for me. So we start explaining things to ourselves from that area. And the best example that I can think of that was a proof of that for me is that I've met people who've lost relationships either to death or to divorce, or and are lonely and experiencing that and then get stuck in that. And I remember I have a girlfriend whose parents divorced, and 30 years later her mom was still bitter and raging. And it's not like the divorce was what made her bitter and raging. It was what she was saying to herself, how she was explaining the situation. It was that so and so left me, did me wrong. My life is ruined. Right.
Right.
Well, explanatory style is an amazing thing. What you say to yourself is more important than what you say to anybody else in the world. I tell people, talk to yourself all the time, but talk to yourself like you are your loving child, like you are the loving one that you want to elevate and raise and promote, support, your cheerleader. I'm my own cheerleader. So in explanatory style, I met a group of women. I was teaching a class on successful aging and had a group of 5 women who were all in their later 80s who would drive to class together. And one of them could still drive. She'd drive, and then all 5 of them would get out of the car. And all of them, I learned over a period of time, had been divorced or widowed more than once. One of them had been divorced like 4 or 5 times. And they were all happy all the time. So I was trying to figure out, why is my friend's mother so bitter 30, 35 years later? And why are these ladies so ecstatic when they've gone through so much grief and loss? So after class one day, we all sat down and had the conversation. And I told them I wanted to know. Well, one of them told me, she said, when my husband died, I missed him so much, but what a joy for the first time in my life to be able to make all my decisions on my own. What a joy for me to be in control and in charge when I'd never been that before. It was her words. It was that. Another one who'd been divorced several times said, oh boy, he was a real SOB. And let me tell you, when that divorce happened, I was a happy camper. And she could kind of say that in all of her relationships, which was probably not the truth, but it was the way that she explained it to herself. And what we say to ourselves matters. You need to listen to yourself, because if you are not happy, if you are overwhelmed and stressed, I can guarantee that a lot of what's going on with you is what you're saying to yourself, because our thoughts and our words come first and then our emotional state. And for a growing edge person, it's critical to know that, because you always have control over what you say to yourself. You don't always have control over situations, but you always have control over what you say to yourself. And actually, you'll hear me laugh sometimes, like kind of for no reason. A lot of times it's because I caught myself in a crazy thought, a real negative, self-defeating, destructive thought. Now I laugh when I catch myself in them to help myself turn it around. It doesn't mean you sweep problems under the carpet, but being negative never brings you the right solution and doesn't help you get through the problem fast. It delays you. So if you can change the thinking to positive, even about your problems, then it makes you proactive and you can move on.
Yes. You bring up a great point, and I need to find the example real quick here. I was in a chat with my wife today. She's off on a business trip, and I was in a chat, and I used a typo, and it was supposed to be can take the test at any time, but autocorrect transferred that to cantankerous test at any time. And as I sent the text to my wife and I saw it flash up in front of me, I looked at it, and my wife was immediately sending back a little laughy emoji like, cantankerous test, that's funny. And I was already laughing as well. I was already in that point of, oh, wow, that's not really what I wanted to say, but that is the reality of where I was. I was feeling cantankerous, and here my phone reminded me of the truth. And I was immediately able to snap myself out of it, to say, hey, wait, that's not. So I'm with you when sometimes we laugh at ourselves when the mind goes places we would prefer maybe it didn't.
Yeah, you just need to pull it back. You just, you pull your mind back and keep focused on what you want. We get away from our dreams. We get away from our goal, and because we get so lost in these distorted thinking sometimes. So the goal is to just keep us back.
Yeah.
And laughing really, really helps with that a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, I do know that one of the things Reverend Alley does like to do is save time near the end of the program to provide the guest an opportunity to share a spiritual practice with us. This has been a great and wondrous conversation. Our dear Fiona's chiming in wonderful inspirational stories from a delightful guest.
Fiona.
So you're creating new fans out there for your work as well. And so this is that opportunity for me to step aside and give you the stage and let you lead us in a short spiritual practice.
Okay. I have a couple I was going to show you because I view my spiritual practice as being something that goes on all day long.
Yeah.
I am always watching how I feel, so that if I feel a little bit distressed or out of sorts in any way, I look at my thinking. What am I thinking? And then I can go, okay, is that real? Because a lot of times it's not. If it's real, sometimes it's a distortion or an exaggeration. And actually, this isn't going to, I had not even thought about showing this, but this is a really important thing. So I'm going to show it.
Okay.
This is a tool that will help you completely transform your life. If you just take a piece of paper and divide it into 4 columns, and in the first column, you don't even have to be able to see it. You can just write this down. And I don't like to have worksheets because then you feel like you can't do it until you have the worksheet, right? You just need a piece of paper or an envelope. So write down a situation that happened that you didn't like. This is straight from cognitive therapy. Write down how you responded in the second column. In the and kind of think about like what was wrong about the way you responded. Did you over exaggerate? Did you do something wrong? In the third column, write down how you would like to see yourself doing that in the future. And then in the fourth column, take a moment, close your eyes, and imagine yourself responding that way. This is a miraculous worksheet. I guarantee you it will completely transform the way that you deal with situations in your life in a matter of weeks. The first time I started dealing with this in my 20s as a cognitive therapy tool, and I was on a cognitive therapy unit, and I thought I better use the stuff I'm teaching. And I noticed a month later, I was in a situation that would have in the past just made me so upset or anxious. And instead, I felt great. I felt powerful. I felt strong. I knew exactly what to do. So example, first column. I am in the grocery store and I'm very scattered and I'm not thinking right because I'm just thinking about all the things I have to do today. And I give the lady my $20 and she gives me back change. And wow, it's way wrong. It's way wrong. But I put it in my purse and I leave. And then I discover it's way wrong when I'm in my car or away from the store. So how do I react would be column 2. The first one is what happened. Succinctly describe it. The second column is how did I react? I got really angry, really, really angry at myself for not being conscious when she was giving me the change, for not being able to correct it on the spot. And what I notice is that I'm not being very tender with myself. I'm being really harsh with myself. Then the third column, I'm going to write down how I want to respond to a situation like that in the future. I want to be conscious when I'm doing a business transaction. I want to watch the change. I want to be aware. I want to be present. I want to say thank you to her. I want to see the money in my hand. I want to consciously put it away. I want to slow my thinking down. And then I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to sit very quietly and I'm going to see myself in the store with the teller, And I'm going to see myself being calm and being chatty and laughing and talking to her, being aware when she's giving me the money. I'm going to see myself saying thank you, happily leaving the store, getting in my car and being calm. And that's it. Okay. What ends up happening when you do that, we store information in our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between something that actually happened and something that we vividly imagine. So if we can vividly imagine a solution to the problems that we have in our lives, what will happen is that when those problems pop up again in the future, you will respond exactly the way you've imagined yourself responding in the positive, good way. It's like magic, and it's so powerful. I know that it will be a great tool for all of us. I used a very simple exercise, with the teller, but you can use it for anything. If you have a fight with your spouse that doesn't go as well as you want, if you're a child and you are not getting along, if your employer, if there's something you need to say, imagine it in mind first. Everything happens twice. It happens in your mind first, and then it happens in reality second. So that would be my tip. Oops. I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
I am on mute. My apologies. There we go. Thank you. That is wonderful. Thank you. And I trust everyone out there will be able to use that. If you have any questions, if people have questions about the process, or if we'll just want to connect, how's the best way for people to connect with you?
They can reach me through email. I'm at Pam at the letter P, the word and, J, our last name Chapman, CHAPMAN.com. So it's like Pam at PandJChapman.com. And
I think I got it there.
No, no G before the Pam. Pam, yeah.
Let's get
otherwise, yes.
Robert and his famous typos. Here we go, folks. Pam at PandJChapman.com. Welcome to reach out, folks, for more on that. Well, I want to say thank you for being with us today. I do apologize. I know that you really were prepared not only to chat with Reverend Allie, but I know the two of you are friends, and I understand you were looking forward to the time to catch up and connect and share all of this with her. So what we have determined, folks, for anyone that might be interested, is there was an internet outage in Allie's area, and nothing is working for her. She was able to communicate via text with me, but has really no internet access in her area. So I imagine we will see you again real soon. I have a feeling she's going to want to schedule you back for another conversation.
Good. It was a real joy. Thank you. And thank you all for being here. And have a lovely day.
Until next time, folks, thanks for being a part of the New Thought Media Network. We so love and appreciate you. Before we go, we are going to say thank you to our organizational sponsors and individual donors. Please don't go away. Stay tuned for just 1 minute more and help us say thank you. Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors and donors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown Atlanta, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Spiritual Center Kitchener, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, and all of our individual donors and sponsors. Thank you for being a part of the New Thought Media Network. Please come be you.